there's a bloated, inefficient, bureaucratic mass run by a mediocre soldier, quasi-general ass, a diabolical office of death and waste run by a weekend anchor with a desperate rage. It's a big black hole, $1 trillion deep, funneling money to the Pentagon welfare queens. You got your Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, and the list keeps going. Now a government contract keeps the salary high, the quality low, the competition light. If Doge looked funny, what did you expect? Elon was getting a check for the old SpaceX. They're making tanks and guns, software to spy. You know, Tomahawk missiles just a Werther's original for an empire in decline. Murdering people from a distance with a Hellfire rocket. $250,000 a pop out of the people's pocket. Folks back home are sick, getting sicker. Hey Pete, bomb the poor in the South, it'd be a whole lot quicker. If you're feeling inadequate, a little bit small, give your big boy order, kill 'em all, kill 'em all. The DOD, the DOW, you can call it whatever you want. War is a racket, no matter how you stack it, making treasure and gold out of poor man's blood. Revolving doors, campaign contributions, writing congressman checks for policy influence. And if you lose your seat, buddy, don't get blue. The lobby that bought you got an office for you. They appeal to your morals, appeal to your fear. Say folks far away are a threat to you here. There's a malignant tumor in our nation's guts. Our own Department of Defense is a threat to us. The DOD, the DOW, you can call it whatever you want. War is a racket, no matter how you stack it, making treasure and gold out of poor man's blood.
Pretty sweet, huh? Pretty good, man. I don't know. Something's going on. Hang on.
Sometimes you get at your B2s and go bomb Iran. Sometimes you get at your B2s. It's all part of God's plan. Well, if you want that feast, you can't be quiet when there's a picture of you hanging out on an island. So you best be getting your B2s and go bomb Iran. Politicians and preachers get hard as a bone, talking holy wars, two birds, one stone. Get your Ted Cruz's and your Huckabees. Somebody said old Lindsey Graham free. Flip Miss Tulsi, get the war machine rolling. Where it's gonna stop ain't nobody knows. So sometimes you get at your B2s and go bomb Iran. Sometimes you get at your B2s. It's all part of God's plan. Well, bomb 'em to hell. Every boy and every girl be the change in the regime you wanna see in the world. Sometimes you get at your B2s and go bomb Iran. Bomb 'em to hell. Beat all the thugs, that Palantir's one hell of a drug. Government contractors salivating, there's real good money and a liberation. Same playbook as 2003. Looks familiar to you, looks familiar to me. Sometimes you get at your B2s and go bomb Iran.
I hadn't heard that one. Oh, shit. I hadn't heard that one. Very good. Sweet. What's up, CBA? Connie? Welcome. Let's get to it, huh? All right, hold on. One more song, man. Let me just warm this thing up here, man.
This?
Hold on, I gotta sell you a new iMac or something, I guess, maybe. I don't know. Guys, it's light. It's cheap, nice, free. Okay, not free. All right. Let's see how this goes. I don't know. Ah.
cigarette papers and fire in a jar, half a bag of weed and an old guitar, laying in silence by the old blue river. The sun is going down, but it's getting cold, too cold to sweat. We ain't growing old, at least not yet. Stay a little while and a little longer. Won't you teach me how to kill the hunger? I think your daddy hates me, but your mama don't. Said you break my heart, but I know you won't. At the end of the day, everything's my fault. I think your daddy hates me, but your mama don't. When we first met, I was just 16. Back before the fall, everything was green. Tell me, how do you live in a world so mean? You were the prettiest thing I'd ever seen. And it's getting cold, too cold to sweat. We ain't growing old, at least not yet. We'll stay a little while and a little longer. Won't you teach me how to kill the hunger? And I want so bad to hold you, but I'll have to let you go. But this love, I hope you know is strong. Maybe when we're older, we can try it one more time, but I'll be fine. Until then, holding on, just holding on. Said I love you, I'll say it again. What your mama don't know can be a sin. And you're starting to show where do we begin. We'll never get out of this world we're in. But it's getting cold, too cold to sweat. We ain't growing old, at least not yet. Stay a little while and a little longer. Won't you teach me how to kill the hunger? Won't you teach me how to kill the hunger?
Sweet. Little John, look like John Denver. All right, now get your head straight. Sweet, man. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out. All right, let's get to it, man. All right, we're part two, man. We'll see how this goes. All right, let's try it. Might be a part three. Let's see how far we get before I, freak out or something. All right, I backed it up about 3 minutes, 4 minutes, something like that.
Which inverted means if the public knew the truth about what these people actually do, the entire system collapses. Our entire world's framework actually depends on it. Or at least it seems that's what this movie is saying. Lincoln makes a decision. We have to find our sponsors and tell them the truth. The real truth. So I will say there is an element of exposure in this movie. It seems as if they're highlighting all the issues with this reality as well. Almost like a warning and a mocking at the same time, strangely.
Let's tell him the
So
truth.
now Mac decides to help them out. He tells them their sponsors' names, Tom Lincoln and Sarah Jordan. The number in their name is a regional code. 6 Echo means your sponsor lives in LA. So they gotta go out of state. Alright, but this scene is super weird and random. But I would say it's intentional. He brings Jordan into the back room to change some clothes. He says, "Oh no, you're gonna wanna come in here." And then he brings her into this room that's clearly sexually charged. There's lingerie and outfits hanging everywhere. They even have this weird chair and mask. It's clearly been used. And then he starts handing her literally sexual cosplay outfits to put on. Like a maid outfit, a nurse outfit. And then look at this. He literally pulls a bra out of the closet to see if it would fit her. He's imagining her in the clothing. Now, you may think this is a reach, but remember the EFTA about sexy androids with a gorgeous realistic face and mind uploading? So this is what Steve Buscemi does with his wife. He has a private cosplay collection. And then Max says, "These are bags, okay? You put stuff in them. Backpacks for boys, purses for girls. Understand?" But look at the context. They are standing in his sex room and he's speaking to her like she's a 5-year-old. Backpacks for boys, purses for girls. And she even says, "We're not idiots." But listen to what he says. He says, "Well, excuse me, miss, I'm so smart I can't wait to go to the island." So he's mocking her. This scene happens fast, so you really wouldn't notice it. But he holds up lingerie and says, "People don't really wear these on the outside. These are mail order, okay? These stay here. Clones don't wear these." So what is the point of this scene? Think about it. Who is Mac? He's a maintenance guy at an underground cloning facility who somehow has a supermodel wife who's freaky beyond belief, has a sex room, outfits, lingerie everywhere, and now he's speaking to a clone of Scarlett Johansson like she's a child. That's because she is a child who never has seen a bra before. But Mac's wife, that beautiful woman from earlier, who is she? Can we just be real for a second? Buscemi? Really? Okay, so hear me out. This isn't really a part of the analysis.
Really?
I'd categorize this more as a fan theory. But if correct, it does add more weight to the thesis. And obviously there is some background lore here, but it's just never explained. My theory is, Mac's wife is actually a sex clone. It seems that someone actually wrote that into the script, but they didn't elaborate on it. Now I can't prove that, but I'll let you decide. You want to explain why this woman blindlessly does what Buscemi tells her to do? Again, you can make your own decision there, because that's up for interpretation. But the reason I say that is, well, technically Mac is the good guy here, but we can't just ignore that scene. Like, what was that? Anyways, then Mac gives Lincoln his credit card. This card's like STEM credits. But then he says this: "I know you're new to this whole human experience and all, but there's one universal truth, and that is, you never give a woman your credit card." So he does have hatred towards women, God, and the whole world in general. I would say that supports my theory. So they get to the train station, and there's a scene where the clones see children for the first time. They've never seen children. No babies except the ones being born for the clients. Mac tells them not to trust anyone and to get on the train to go to LA. But then Laurent's team shows up. The Black Ops security tracked the nanobots, and they're at the train station, and Mac sees them first. Now this is fast, but there's a spiral shot as the gun comes out. Mac gets hit, and he falls over the banister into the glass below. A sacrifice. The man who revealed the secrets, who broke the fourth wall of the facility, who gave the clones their first taste of freedom, gets killed for it. It's the archetype of the whistleblower, the insider who helps you escape, but doesn't make it out himself. So from here, the film basically becomes a different movie. This is all the Bay stuff. The chase sequence, the music, explosions, jet bikes, car crashes.
Very Hollywood shit. Very, very Hollywood, man. Very Hollywood.
All these building collapses. It's basically Transformers for about 15 minutes. And then it's very clear that this front-end director is doing his thing. But even inside the Bay chaos, there are details worth catching. There's a shot where they sit down on the Amtrak, and the advertisement above them is a Terminix ad. For Bugs, it's the end of the line. Another interesting detail is that the Black Ops team sets up in a van and taps into the entire city camera system. They even have facial recognition image match probability.
2005, right? 2005. Yeah, here we are, 20 years later. What's up, Lev?
And the progress bar does show 66% as one of the steps.
Oops, 66%.
In 2005, they're showing you AI facial recognition surveillance as a tool of a black project. This is a decade before it was publicly acknowledged. Now, just to be clear, the 66 part is a growing percentage, but the fact that they chose 66 as one of the stopping points, I'd ignore it if there weren't several other cases of sixes. And literally the next shot, it's 6th Street. This 6th Street appears multiple times in the film. The clones are chased on 6th Street. Then the truck has a 9 right under the 6. The facility has Sector 6 as the critical area.
Don't miss the fucking Tartaria building. Don't forget to miss. He forgot about the Tartaria building on 6th Street. Okay.
Has a 9 right under the 6. The facility.
Wait, wasn't there a shooting on 6th Street in Austin, Texas? Right after the bombings, a week ago today. They bombed Iran, 6th Street in Austin, Texas, which I'm familiar with. I played music there one night. I was there for a weekend years ago. Probably about 2005, actually. And there was the shooting on 6th Street. Just something I just put together just now. And because when they said, oh, some mass shooter went in and took out a bunch of people on 6th Street in Austin, Texas, I was like, been there. I know where that is. Interesting. Anyway. And there's a Tartaria building. He didn't mention that. Okay. We'll carry on now.
It has Sector 6 as the critical area. Department of Recreation is Department 6. And there's another scene where they have this MSN butterfly logo that appears on this AI search terminal. It's basically this booth that Lincoln uses, but it has the monarch butterfly symbol. I don't think that's an accident. And Laurent's team uses fake FBI and SWAT credentials, even fake police IDs for a black ops operation run by a private military contractor with Defense Department backing. But there's this really weird plot point. Apparently the actual police show up too, and they don't know what's happening. So the real law enforcement and the shadow enforcement collide, and of course the shadow enforcement wins. Jordan then sees herself on a Calvin Klein billboard. The clone is discovering that her sponsor is a supermodel.
That's not creepy. That's creepy, man.
And billboard. The clone is discovering that her sponsor is a supermodel, which is another weird connection. And then after this insane chase, building signs falling, jet bikes exploding, they survive, and a construction worker looks at them and says, "Wow, Jesus must love you, 'cause they got lucky." But then he looks at Jordan and says, "Come on, girl, I know Jesus loves you." Again, sexually charged, inverted symbolism. So the chase ends, they survive, and now we go back to the facility where something else is happening. We see Gondu, who knows about the flying bug. So basically, this information leaked to the other clones. They don't know the full truth yet, but it's clear this one's far too curious. So this clone goes to Merrick to tell him about it. thinking he's being helpful. Can you keep a secret, Doc? There's something going on around here. Something you may not even know about. He has no idea. He genuinely thinks Merrick doesn't know. He's like a child telling his parent about a monster under the bed, except the parent is the monster. You know, I'm not sure that the contamination is real. And Merrick plays along. Why do you think that? Have you told anyone else about this?
Why do you think that Earth's flat?
No.
Why do you
But
think-
I'm gonna do some digging. I'm gonna get to the bottom of
Why do you
this.
think that?
And then Merrick says, you were one of the first of the Echo generation. You're very smart. The Echo generation. The clones that are starting to wake up. The clones that remember. And by the way, remember that name Echo? Because it shows up in another series we're going to talk about later. And then Merrick goes full demiurge on this guy. It's natural, even healthy to question the world we're presented. You might say, it's only human. Only human, and then he injects him. The clone who was curious, who wanted to help, who trusted his creator, gets a needle in the neck mid-sentence.
Fucking A, bro. Yeah, you know. The guy telling the truth, questioning things. It's only natural to question things. Oh yeah, here's a needle. Here you go.
Because now Merrick knows that the Echo generation is aware. He knows curiosity is spreading. And you know what his solution is? Extermination. I mean, the Gnostic pattern is blatantly obvious. They end up making it to LA, and they find the real Tom Lincoln and show up at his house. So this is the real Lincoln.
Gotta have a globe. Gotta have your globe on the desk over there, bro. Yep, gotta have the globe, Connie. Come on. Ain't gonna be Hollywood without a couple of globes up in there. Come on.
Tom Lincoln is clearly wealthy, and so the clone's walking around, and then the real Tom Lincoln attacks him. So the clone Lincoln tells him that he's his policy. And interestingly, the real Tom is Scottish, meaning a foreign client. And then Tom meets Jordan. Now this is another weird scene. He immediately starts flirting with her. And remember, Jordan likes clone Lincoln, so she's comfortable with his face. So in a way, she's somewhat comfortable with this because it's in her nature to feel something for Lincoln. But notice what's going on here. She does not understand the real Tom Lincoln's intentions. And what does he do? The very first thing, out of nowhere, he says, "Boy, your skin is so soft," and then kisses her hand and strokes her. I mean, you could classify that as assault. And Lincoln's sitting right there. So this Tom Lincoln...
Yeah, that was a little creepy. Creepy cock bastard. Creepy Mongo.
just met a woman who is a perfect copy of a supermodel, and his immediate response is to touch and kiss her skin. And they play it off like he's being charming, but look at the context. He literally just learned that she is a manufactured being, a product, and he's handling her like he's test driving a car. She's unbelievable. That's what he says to the clone after Jordan goes upstairs. It's clearly sexually charged.
No shit.
And if you want confirmation, he says, "How is it that you've been around for 3 years and you end up with that kind of woman I haven't been able to find my whole life?" The clone says, "She found me. She's my best friend." Watch, he's about to confirm it in a moment. But then Tom shows him the workshop. He designs boats, cars, motorcycles. So he's a designer. And then the clone Lincoln sees the designs and says, "It's weird. I feel like I've seen these before." Because he has. Genetically. The memories are in the DNA.
Right.
That connects directly
That
to the
makes
files.
sense.
Okay, but pay attention. This is very important. Then he says, "What's renovatio?" Tom tells him, "Renovatio in Latin means rebirth."
I'm gonna clone you, Agave. I gotta clone you, bro. I mean, you and Zern. And Connie. I'd clone Connie, too. So, yeah. Lev. I don't know about Lev. Yeah. All right. I'll clone Lev. What the heck? There's only one Lev. That's true. I get you.
Tom tells him, Renovatio in Latin means rebirth. Latin in a movie about cloning? Why would a Scottish boat designer name his racing...
This all has to do with the Epstein shit files. This movie's from 2005. It's like 21 years ago. My goodness.
Movie about cloning? Why would a Scottish boat designer name his racing yacht a Latin word meaning rebirth? It's not about the plot. It's because the back-end director put it there. That's secret society coding. Renovatio. Take a note.
Take a note.
Then Tom says, subtle? No, it's not subtle at all, actually. Meanwhile, at the facility, the scientists are looking at Lincoln's synaptic scans, and what they find breaks their model. This is a synaptic scan we took of 6 Echo 3 years ago, right before we integrated him into the agnate population. Now, this is a synaptic scan from a few days ago. You can see how much the memory's grown. It's like he's experienced 30 years, not 3, which is obviously impossible. The doctor tries to explain it away. Or maybe this is scarring from a cortical infection. And then Merrick shuts him down. An infection can't teach you Latin or how to fly. These are memories, but they're not his. They belong to his sponsor. So this is genetic memory.
That guy looks trustworthy, right? Yeah.
The clone is downloading the sponsor's life through DNA. That's literally in part 3. And they even mention Johns Hopkins. They'll be back from the Johns Hopkins neuro, and then Merrick cuts him off. But it seems like that was a real institution name dropped in a movie about secret cloning. Either lazy writing or it's deliberate. Given everything else, I think we know which one it is. Okay, so back to Tom Lincoln's house. And like I said, if you were doubtful about the sexually charged nature of this whole arrangement here, this is your answer. Tom Lincoln tells the clone that he has cirrhotic hepatitis. That's a liver disease. And when the clone doesn't understand, Tom explains it. A partying gift from God for all my philandering. The clone doesn't get it. So Tom just tells him, lots and lots of sex. That's what destroyed his liver. That's why he needs a replacement organ. That is why the clone exists. This is a metaphor for being able to sin without consequences. And then pay attention. The real Tom says, you're a virgin? Now this isn't clear, okay, in the movie. But think about it.
Interesting.
So you have your genetic copy walking around with Scarlett Johansson's clone. So Tom is realizing that his clone is a virgin. But the way he says it, you're kicking around her and you're a virgin? You see, the immediate implication is, why haven't you had sex with her? Because he would have. This is a predator's instinct. But the subtle undertone is the possible implication that he's realizing Jordan is a virgin. That would support my theory. The clone doesn't even know what sex is. He barely knows what a credit card is. But Tom Lincoln, the real version, his first and only thought about Jordan is sexual. And Tom tells Jordan that she's in Maxim. Pictures of women with little tight shorts, stories too. So she's a Maxim model. And then the president comes on TV. A hurricane is hitting Florida. Presidential address. But Lincoln, the clone, looks at the screen and says, "Is that your community announcer? I know that guy." Tom says, "He's the president of America." But Lincoln says, "He has a clone." Again, some more background lore that they never really explain. So the president has a clone in the facility.
The president has a clone, Agave. Come on. Everybody knows this. Don't be ridiculous.
They never really explain. So the
gotta have the globe. Another shot with the globe. The globe.
president has a clone in the facility, but where is he? I believe he's referring to the MK Ultra handler in the dream sequence, because that's the only person that resembles the president that he could be talking about. This is actually another Easter egg that we'll talk about in a moment. But Lincoln wants to go on TV and tell the truth. If we can get on there together, people will see us and they'll know the truth.
Yeah, let's get on TV. Yeah, that's a ticket. No, bro.
If we can get on there together, people will see us and they'll know the truth. But Tom tells him, so you think that we're just going to waltz down to NBC and see if they can slot us in after the weather?
Slot us in after the weather, bro.
I'm looking at you in the face and I don't believe it. They literally don't even think that you would believe it. Lincoln says, there are thousands of us. Everyone we've ever known is going to die in that place. And so Tom smiles and says, all right, let me get my shoes. But he's lying through his teeth. And Jordan knows this. Tom then calls Merrick Biotech. And this is another audience.
Hey man, the guy you were cloning for my organs, yeah, he just showed up at my house, bro. We got a problem, man. What are you gonna do about this? Well, just kill him off. So, yeah. That's hilarious.
Tom then calls Merrick Biotech. And this is another audience proxy moment. Tom Lincoln is a representation of us. He's the person who gets to see the truth, has the power to act, and chooses comfort instead. He's every person who reads the EFTA files and then just goes back to scrolling. He's every viewer of this video who will deny it or forget it. The film is asking you, are you Tom Lincoln or are you Lincoln 6 Echo? So, Tom Lincoln betrays them, and he's playing it cool, but Jordan sees through it immediately. So Tom and Lincoln get in his car, it's a V12 Cadillac, and he activates it with his fingerprint. You're worth every penny. We even have the same fingerprints. Okay, but then we get this long chase scene.
That's so creepy, man. That's super creepy, man. Fuck.
But interestingly, the final confrontation between the two Lincolns happens inside this building that has these pillars and an angel statue in the center.
That's not creepy. No, that's not creepy. It's Tartarius from Tartarius.
Obviously not an accident. This is another temple. It clearly has Masonic influence, and this whole scene happens with a fallen angel. This is the doppelganger scene. Laurent doesn't know who the real clone is.
It's the back end.
So he has a decision to make. The same decision the audience has been making throughout the entire film. Which one is real, and which one is fiction? Okay, but Laurent shoots the one with the collar. He actually shoots the real Tom Lincoln, and the clone walks away. Meaning, the clone is the real, better version. He outsmarted the original and Laurent. Or did he? Look at what just happened plot-wise. A clone just
There's some retartaria building. Yep. That's all I'm saying.
tricked a black ops mercenary into killing his own client. So then why would Laurent just let him walk? Clearly he was confused for a second, so it definitely crossed his mind that this was a possibility. Why wouldn't Laurent arrest him, investigate, call Merrick? Because the plot doesn't matter. The blueprint is the priority. So pay attention to this next scene.
What's it like, Zern? What's it feel like? That's even like the double fucking. Let's do it twice. What's it feel like? What's it like? What's it feel? Yeah. How's it feel? Come on, man.
Initiation is closing, and it will break its own logic to get there. Here it is. The moment the film shows you what it really is. So they're standing inside this old world building with columns, and this isn't just any building.
It's just not any building, bro. This is major Tartaria shit right here.
Remember,
The temple.
this is supposed to be a futuristic LA. So why did they choose this building?
Yeah, this futuristic LA. So they brought in the tart. This is 2005, man. I did get my head around that for a minute.
This is supposed to be a futuristic LA. So why did they choose this building? This isn't a futuristic building. This building isn't in LA. Do you know what this building is? This is insane. Guys, this is Michigan Central Station. This structure is a major red flag. Let me show you one of the oldest photos of this building. What do you notice? Anything weird? If you think this looks...
Wait. That doesn't look like the same building, man. Does that look... I mean, I guess it could be. I don't know, man. I wasn't up... The picture's kind of far away.
What do you notice? Anything weird?
Trains. Anything weird? You guys notice anything weird? Anything? It looks AI. It almost looks... Yeah. That's it. Michigan Central Station. Similar to Grand Station. I cannot believe they tore down Grand Central Station, man. The original. Oh, my goodness. What the heck happened there, man? Who okayed that shit, man? I'd like to get their names and shame them because they're dead. Fuck. Mongos, bro. The building looks weird, right? Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. Okay.
If you think this looks normal, you might need to get your eyes checked. This is a massive 18-story Beaux Arts tower looming over a rail yard with trains everywhere. They called it the gateway of the city.
Okay, here we go. Just warming up here. We're just getting warmed up, I think, man. That looks legit. Okay.
Trains everywhere. They called it the gateway of the city. Okay, yeah, but why is this place completely empty? Can we just be real? First off, this is a painting.
Yeah, you got it. Connie got it. I got it. Didn't look right. There was something off. Shadows. There was something. Just looked a little, almost like a pencil drawing. Yeah, that's not legit picture.
Real? First off, this is a painting. Probably to hide this front area right here. Now, historic...
To hide the front area, where that which is part of shot in the movie, right? That was where they were standing in the movie. Interesting. All right. If I'm shit, man, just stop it.
Probably to hide this front area right here. Now, historic Detroit has a whole gallery of construction photos. Of course they do.
That looks like a pencil drawing, too. That doesn't look legit. Does that look legit? No.
They need a backstory. But let's look at what they actually have. They have 18 photos.
18?
10 of them are railroad infrastructure, tunnels, dirt, excavation equipment, not the building. The ones that are supposedly of the building going up, most of those are just holes in the ground, footings, foundations. The actual 18-story tower, the walls, the facade, 8 million bricks being laid, you get maybe 2 or 3 photos. And those are the lowest quality images in the whole set. Everything else is crisp, detailed photography. This is 1910.
That one's questionable as well, in my opinion.
But the moment it's time to show the tallest railroad station in the world going up brick by brick. Blurry, low resolution, different style, clear signs of photo manipulation. Look, obviously I can't prove without a shadow of a doubt that they're fake photos. But you need to be aware that that was completely possible during this era. Regardless, it's blatantly clear that the photographic record does not match the claim. And if the photos aren't enough to prove it, let's just look at the story itself.
Let's check out the story. Yeah, where's the horses? How do they get there? Who waters and feeds the horses? That's what I want to know. That's a good one, man. Yeah, Zern, I got your number, man. It's in my tool bag. I'll give you a call this weekend, man. I'll hang out for a few. Yep. I was out on a job. He called me. I wrote it down, threw it in my tool bag. And I got it. I got your number, brother. All right. I'll call you for sure. Or call Larry and get my number and call me. I don't care. It all works. All right. Let's look at the story. Let's check out the story of this building. Can we do that?
And if the photos aren't enough to prove it, let's just look at the story itself. They say that they built this in 3 years, 1912 steel framework, opened by Christmas 1913. 8 million bricks, 125,000 cubic feet of stone, 7,000 tons of structural steel, 20,000 cubic yards of concrete for a train station in an empty field, with 68-foot Corinthian columns modeled after ancient Roman baths on the inside. An architectural critic at the time suggested that it was essentially two different buildings jammed together, like one of them was already there. Grand Central.
Yeah, could have been one there already, you know. All right, you know. Could have been one. I don't know.
Jammed together, like one of them was already there. Grand Central Terminal took 10 years to build, and that was in the middle of Manhattan with unlimited money. This thing supposedly went up in 3 years in Corktown, Detroit, surrounded by wooden shacks. I know this seems random, but there's a reason that I'm going into this, so pay attention.
Pay attention, people. Pay attention. Focus.
They'll tell you that there was a building before this, the old Michigan Central Depot, built 1884. Romanesque revival, clock tower, turrets. I mean, it kind of looks like a medieval castle.
Oh, it definitely looks like a medieval castle. Are you kidding me?
And on December 26, 1913, 9 days before the new station is supposed to officially open, the old depot catches fire, and it starts in the records room.
9 days before? Okay. Now that picture looks AI, but, you know. What do I know? What do I know?
Officially open, the old depot catches fire, and it starts in the
We're
records
very
room.
tartar.
The record room on the 3rd floor. That means...
Yeah, see, yeah, you live in a city, Agave, that's full of shit, man. I live a place, man, there's like very little, man. But yeah, you guys... That was Mongo City over there in Quebec, man. Are you kidding me? Mongo Tartaria City, yeah. Another fire. 9 days before the new building went up. Oh, bad. This one went down. Bye-bye. Okay.
records room. The record room on the 3rd floor.
Aww.
That means every document, every financial record, every paper about the railroad's
Aww.
history would be gone because of the fire that was undetermined. And if you look at the damage photos, it literally looks like an explosion.
Now, we can go into the fire thing with almost any major building in America. Any major old antique building, there was a fire. Oh, it was a fire. We rebuilt it. What? I mean, you go through Michigan, Ohio, California, Florida. I mean, San Francisco. I mean, there's a tons of this stuff, man. Where the building burnt down. We built this new one. It looks great, isn't it? It's a really nice, really great building. It's fantastic. Oh, okay. Sounds good to me, bro. Yeah, let's go with that.
So a fire that started with paper in one room does not do that. A fire doesn't bring down a 1,000-ton stone clock tower and leave the brick walls standing. That looks like something else. You tell me. Basically, this is a historical cover-up tactic.
I've been around a few buildings that look like this one with the big brick with the little, yeah. Yeah, those buildings kind of creep me out, man. Yeah, Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland River. Dude, the fucking lake was it Lake Erie caught fire, dude. They were dumping so much shit in there in the 60s, in the 50s, that my buddy was growing up, man. The whole lake caught on fire. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it was nasty. Anyway.
When you hear that the old station burned down, what does your brain do? You assume the same location. The old one burns down, the new one goes up on the same spot. That makes sense, right? Meaning this is a backstory narrative, a device used to make the story more convincing. Guys, basically what I'm saying is this is a reset building. Most likely a mass reset repopulation center where people were trafficked en masse. Do your own research on the orphan trains.
Orphan trains. Incubator babies. Orphan train incubator babies. Incubator babies. Yeah, isn't that, oh my goodness. Orphan trains. Cabbage Patch Kids. Yeah, there's a lot to go there for sure.
And also keep in mind, this is lost history. I'm not suggesting that modern Freemasons know about it. I've broken that down before, but I can expand on it in a future video. So yes, I needed to explain that, because now think of the context. They're inside an old world reset building with Masonic influence. And right after Laurent shoots the wrong person, the real Tom Lincoln, the Lincoln clone, who remember is a proxy for the audience, him and Laurent are outside the Michigan Central Union. And look at the shot. This is key, so listen. This clone Lincoln, which is us, the audience, just watched this entire operation. We saw the back end reality. The clones, the harvesting, the murder, the deception. Okay, but go watch the movie and listen to this scene. Listen to what he says right here. Laurent turns to Lincoln and says, "You've been witness to certain trade secrets." Trade secrets? You mean that they manufacture human beings who walk, talk, and feel? That kind of secret? Laurent says, "Have you talked with anyone else about this?" And remember, the Lincoln clone is mimicking Tom Lincoln. He says, "Who would believe it?" And then Laurent says, "Can I count on that?" The only thing you can count on is that people will do anything to survive. I just want to live, and I don't care how. This isn't a plot scene. This is the audience initiation closing, the Masonic obligation of secrecy. You just sat through 2 hours in the dark, you received the knowledge, you watched the ritual, and now the film is telling you directly, through Laurent, keep this a secret. Who would believe you anyways?
Who's gonna believe you the Earth's flat, man? Come on, sir. Gave, Connie. Who's gonna oh shit. Never mind.
And like I just said, the building they're standing in front of is a reset repopulation building. You just completed the degree, and you didn't even know it was happening.
You just completed the degree, and you didn't even know it was happening. Ain't that a Mongo trip, huh? Yeah. Totally a globe, bro. 100%. Yeah, in your mind. But that's cool. You know, right on.
There's no denying the Masonic elements. And right after this, what happens? The clones have sex. For the first time. Both virgins. And then they say, "The island is real." Lincoln looks at her confused. "It's us." Now we're back at the facility. Merrick is walking through the programming room with his team and he's worried. The Echo generation's waking up. It's not just Lincoln, they are all becoming curious. We're seeing the same neural patterns in all the Echoes, plus every subsequent generation, the Foxtrots, Gammas, and Halos. We predicted our entire system on predictability.
Dude, I feel like I'm in the Matrix right now, and I'm just like in some kind of weird Matrix. Damn. I don't know. You guys, I don't know, maybe it's just me, man. Circle the square, baby. Let's do it.
Echo has displayed the one trait that undermines it.
Fucking Mongo.
Human curiosity. Human curiosity is the one thing they didn't plan for. The one thing they couldn't program out. The same thing that drove Lincoln to catch the bug, to sneak through the vents, to question why the sky looks funny. Curiosity breaks the system. So now we're facing 4 generations with the potential for defiant behavior. What are you suggesting? A recall. Wait, you mean dispose of over 200 million worth of product? Yes.
Just kill them all off, man. We got to start over. Oh, okay. What?
$200 million of people.
Wait.
Product? Yes.
That the woman in the picture looks like the woman that was in charge of Homeland Security. She just got fired today, I think. It looks like her. Am I wrong about that, Zern? Zern, I know you're hip on this stuff. You're checking it out. She was at Congress on Thursday? Could have been Thursday. And then now she's fired. But that looks just like her, right? I don't know. I hear things, man. I'm not hip on everything, but occasionally I'm like, okay, she got fired. Okay. Like, I don't give a shit. Doesn't change me, but, you know, I just walking down the street, I hear shit. You know what I'm saying? Marjorie Taylor, okay, yeah. It does not look like her a little bit? Quite a bit, right? Tell me I'm some fucking... This is 2005, Mongos. That's why I was like, it just stuck in my head, man. Am I putting something together here that's not there? Am I messing up the puzzle piece here? Fuck, I don't know. Probably. But it does look like her. Right? Well, I don't know. Thank you. All right. Yeah, Ice Barbie. Total Recall. Maybe. Could be. I don't know, man. Joe, you're up on this stuff. It looks like her. It's a little blurry, but it looks like her.
$200 million of people. And how do they plan to do this? A reset. Mass winnings. Everyone's going to the island today. The clones are excited, hugging each other, celebrating. They think they all won. They're all about to go to paradise. They're going through a reset. What's crazy is they actually planned for this. They already had a mechanism in place. So, this is what happens when the population trusts the system so completely that they applaud their own destruction? Familiar? Merrick is explaining this, and it's intercutting with the mass lottery. And then our guy Jones gets called. He's finally won. Now we get the final confession. Remember, there was somewhat of an implication that Laurent actually decided to kill the real Tom. Now we somewhat get an answer. So Laurent has completed his mission. He's in Merrick's office to collect his check. And so while Merrick is dealing with this whole reset situation, he's standing next to this Picasso painting. Now this painting is a woman fragmented into geometric planes. Essentially, it's a portrait that hangs on the wall of a man who fragments woman for parts. Merrick even has a line on this, because whoever wrote this is just too on the nose. He says, "Do you like Picasso, Mr. Laurent?" But he never answers. This scene has to do with Jordan. Basically, Laurent has captured the clone Jordan. And so he's brought her back to Merrick, and Merrick's telling him that you took too long to bring her back. So he says, "The girl I brought in, you're going to harvest her, kill her anyway, even though it won't make any difference?" Merrick says, "That's the privilege our clients pay for, Mr. Laurent." So some clones don't even get used. But basically you realize that Laurent, someone inside the system, he's a man who has killed in wars and done things that he's not proud of. He's starting to ask questions. When did killing become a business for you? And listen, Merrick says, it's so much more than that. I have discovered the holy grail of science. Mr. Laurent, I give life. The agnates, they're simply tools, instruments. They have no souls. The possibilities are endless here. In 2 years' time, I will be able to cure children's leukemia. How many people on Earth can say that, Mr. Laurent? Laurent says, I guess just you and God. That's literally what he believes. He controls life. He destroys life.
Right.
The demiurge, the false creator who believes he is supreme and who punishes his creation for the crime of being conscious. And now he's ready to destroy his creation. Another Gnostic parable. And later, when Lincoln returns to the facility to save everyone, Merrick catches him and says the final line, "I brought you into this world, and I can take you out of it." This is basically God versus Lucifer. It's the demiurge telling the light bearer, "You exist because I allow it, and you will die because I decide it." Again, too on the nose, it's just Milton's Paradise Lost in a lab coat. But this exposes the whole thing. Why is Milton's framework in a futuristic sci-fi cloning movie? It doesn't make any sense, unless you know the
Classic mom line. I brought you in. I can take you out. I'm sure my mom told me that shit. 100%. Can take your ass out.
sci-fi cloning movie. It doesn't make any sense, unless you know the history of secret societies in literature. And then Lincoln, which I just revealed is Lucifer, 6 Echo. That's not the devil, that's not demonic. This is hero enlightenment symbolism. Lincoln, the savior, goes back. Not to escape, not to save himself. He already had Tom Lincoln's life, his house, his car. He could have just disappeared. Laurent even says it. He says you could have taken over his life, but you chose to come back. You truly are unique, 6 Echo. And then he says, "My name is Lincoln." You see, they're praising him. Clear Luciferian symbolism, and I'm not claiming anything other than that. It is what it is. You can make your own conclusions. Lucifer is 7 letters. Lincoln, 7 letters. Can we wake up, guys? Enough is enough. I know most of you
Wake
watching
up.
this are already fully aware of
Alrighty.
this, but it's time for the masses to wake up to this. Remember, Jones told us everything was coded. It's naked for you to see. Lincoln is being worshipped for rebelling against his creator, bringing forbidden knowledge to the other clones, and declaring his own name over the one the system gave him. That's just the start.
That looks like the American Southwest, man. Utah. Looks like Utah to me, man. I'm pretty sure.
I told you, by the end of this video, it will be undeniable. But yeah, to finish up the movie real quick. Like I was saying, this scene ends with the creator versus Lucifer, where Merrick is a proxy for God. But there's a shot here where it ends with him being hanged. That's more occult symbolism. It's the hanged man, but it's also bringing God down.
Hangman.
Then, Lincoln goes back to shut down the hologram, the wall that projects the outside world live. And I didn't mention this, but there's this other shot where Jordan leads the lottery winners away from the execution chamber who were about to get incinerated, which is another really messed up part about this movie, because all the clones trusted the security guards. The fact that they even put that in the movie is pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
So then, they make their way out of the underground lab. And for the first time in their lives, they see the actual sky. They're free, and the hero Lincoln has released them from their prison, the Garden of Eden. Good ending, right? It looks like it.
Looks like it. Yeah,
But
looks.
just wait.
Just wait, Mongos. Boy, this is pretty biblical talking. No doubt about it.
So let's do a quick review. We found a film about human cloning, organ harvesting, and consciousness transfer that's structurally built on Gnostic inversion. The entire cosmology is flipped. God's the villain, Lucifer's the hero, paradise is a prison, and salvation is death. There's one-eye symbolism encoded pretty much in every major scene. There's 6s everywhere. That is important to note. And we also found Masonic-influenced architecture chosen specifically for the most important scene in the film. And you saw how the film was a secret society initiation ritual in disguise, where the audience is told to keep the secret. But we know now. Lincoln, 7 letters, the same as Lucifer, being worshipped for rebelling against the creator. This is not a movie. This is a blueprint. But the question is, a blueprint for what? Because in 2005, this was science fiction. In 2026, it's not. So weird, right? I think we can agree that the MK Ultra stuff is a bit much, especially with all the fast flashing subliminal frames that do to the audience what the facility does to the clones. Honestly, at this point, if you still think this is a Michael Bay movie, I don't know what to tell you. But I do just want to emphasize, we showed that this film, a $126 million DreamWorks production starring Scarlett Johansson, is encoding a cloning narrative inside a Masonic degree structure. You saw it. I didn't even have to explain it because it was right in front of you. Okay, but one more thing. So you remember one of the first images in the film, before Lincoln wakes up? There's a dream sequence, and there's actually a still frame. It's very fast. It's a blue butterfly. A blue morpho butterfly is in his dream. It flashes so fast you cannot see it if you're watching it normally. I found it because I went frame by frame. There is no explanation for this in the plot. It just appears. Yes, it's inverted, but it appears blue on the screen. Okay. In MK Ultra research, there's a subprogram called Monarch, named after the monarch butterfly. The idea is the butterfly represents transformation, the shattering of one identity and the emergence of another. That's literally what the facility does to the clones. The subliminal screens, the programming. The butterfly is the program. Okay, but here's where nobody's connected. The Butterfly Trust. EFTA 01374954, EFTA 01282041, EFTA 01472231. This was a real financial entity, and apparently it was created in 2013. And according to New York state regulators who investigated it, the Butterfly Trust was the primary vehicle Epstein used to facilitate trafficking. Over 120 wires transferred totaling $2.65 million between 2014 and 2018. Payments sent to women with Eastern European surnames, labeled as hotel expenses, tuition, and rent. The trust executors were later accused of hiding $13 million in assets from victims. So, it would seem Epstein's trafficking payment system was called the Butterfly Trust. And the island opens with a butterfly in a dream about programming. Now, I'll let you come to your own conclusions. All I'm saying is it seems the symbolism is the same here, and they both point to a similar operation. But here's where it gets worse. Because everything I just showed you, it didn't start in 2005. If you really think what I just showed you was a coincidence, that the island just had that level of encoding because the filmmaker was being creative or something. If you think that, pay attention. I'm about to show you, it's not a pattern. It's not me reading into things, it's undeniable. By the end, you'll understand. This is how the entire system operates. And they've been telling you the whole time. Okay, so here's something they don't want you to know. The island, this $126 million DreamWorks blockbuster, was stolen supposedly. DreamWorks paid millions to settle the lawsuit. The original is a 1979 film called Parts, The Clonus Horror, directed by a guy named Robert S. Fiveson. Now let me talk about this guy because he's important. So this Fiveson guy is interesting. He went to USC Film School, his thesis film got picked up by Universal Studios, then he worked on a show called In Search Of. Then, the same year, he started shooting Clonus. Then he makes this one film, Parts, The Clonus Horror, one feature film, and then he goes to work for the United States Air Force Media Center at March Air Force Base and produced 500 programs for the Department of Defense over the next 6 years.
What?
The Department of Defense? Then the Library of Congress, then A&E, and then Discovery Channel. So one film about a secret government cloning program protected by intelligence networks. Then this guy goes to the Pentagon. But he goes deeper. The screenplay was born in a class taught by Irwin Blacker at USC. In Irwin Blacker, he wrote espionage novels about a fictional spy master running an intelligence organization called GNOBS. He also taught George Lucas. The producer, Merle Schreibman, was mentioned by Jack Arnold, a World War II Army Signal Corps filmmaker who made State Department documentaries before becoming Universal's king of science fiction. Schreibman later made a film called Angel of Heat about a female secret agent fighting a mad scientist with an army of androids. Okay, but before
That's
I walk
crazy,
you through this
man.
film, you have to understand that on paper, it's described as a $257,000 budget B movie. That's what they said. But for a B movie, how did it get Peter Graves, Mission Impossible for 7 seasons? How did it get Keenan Wynn from Dr. Strangelove, Frank Ashmore, who played an intelligence double agent, and V. Dick Sargent from Bewitched, who attended San Rafael Military Academy? Eileen Deeds, the subliminal demon face from The Exorcist, literally the face of Pazuzu. Eugene Robert Glazer, who later played the head of intelligence in La Femme Nikita. Basically, every single one of them has intelligence, military, or occult horror in their filmography. And how does a $257,000 budget film accurately describe nuclear transfer cloning 17 years before Dolly the Sheep? There's something weird about it. That's all I'm saying. So the film itself was screened at Paramount Pictures, and the man who watched it was Jeffrey Katzenberg, VP of Feature Production at Paramount at the time. His direct quote from court filings, "If you can make that for under $1 million, I'd like to see what you can do with 10. 25 years later, Katzenberg's company, DreamWorks, released The Island, $126 million budget. But they were sued. 90 documented points of similarity. DreamWorks settled for 7 figures, and the terms were sealed. Okay, so let's talk about this film, because honestly it exposes a lot about The Island. Every single one of these films I'd classify as a MK Ultra film. You'll understand by the end. But literally, remember how The Island started? What did The Island start with? A MK Ultra dream sequence. Well, Clonus starts with the same thing. We're in a lab with this surreal MK Ultra sequence in audio form. It's some type of strange whispering mixed with binaural panning. What's weird is this doesn't actually connect to the plot in any way. So why are they showing this? Why are the clones being programmed with binaural audio patterns? Remember this, because towards the end you'll see there's really only one answer. Okay, so this MK Ultra sequence in the beginning is being shown while intercutting with a political campaign rally. A silver-haired politician is giving a speech, and it's Peter Graves. The guy who played America's most famous spy is now playing a senator running for president. But notice his name, Knight for president. Take note of that. And then it cuts to something different. It looks like a college campus, young people in white uniforms jogging,
All right, I'll admit it, Zern, you'll love it. I had the Adidas shirt and the Adidas shorts. I did. I did have them. I'm willing to admit it. That was me. Back in the 80s. That was me, bro. I'm going down in flames. I'll admit it. It was gay. I know it was gay, but yeah. I'm guilty.
It looks like a college campus. Young people in white uniforms jogging, stretching by the pool, attending classes. They're living under constant surveillance by guides in black suits.
I even had the jacket. I'm sure I had the jacket. Wasn't PE uniforms. No, I had to pay for that shit. They might have had it in some of the upper echelon schools. They didn't hand that shit to us, but we had to go buy our own. Yeah, anyway. So bad. It's so bad. Yeah, it was the Run DMC stuff, right? Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, right about the same time. For sure, yeah.
They're living under constant surveillance by guides in black suits. So again, men in black. So we meet George, and George has been told he's qualified. He gets to go to America. So wait, America is their island. That proves it. Dr. Merrick is America. In the island, the clones dream of going to a tropical paradise. In Clonus, the
I never wore that shit right there. That doesn't look right, man.
the clones dream of going to a tropical paradise. In Clonus, the clones dream of going to America. And the first clone we see go through this process is called George. George going to America? George
Washington?
Lincoln. Do you get it? George Washington, literally the most famous Freemason.
Alligator shirts. Guilty again. I'm guilty again. They got me. They got me, Zern. I'm a complete cuck. I'm a clothing cuck. Clothing cult cuck. That's it, Connie. Yeah, that's me. Ugh, I fucked up, man. What are you gonna do?
George Lincoln. Do you get it? George Washington, literally the most famous Freemason. And Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln freed the people. Exactly what Lincoln Six Echo did. Before
Dude, this is making too much sense. Make it stop.
they send him off, the doctors assess him. George is quite strong. I see no problems here. So they throw George a going away party. Cake, speeches, and everyone's happy. And then George stands up and gives his farewell speech. It's good to know that I have all of you as friends. And I know that soon, all of you will be joining me in America. That is the land where good friends live, where we're always happy.
That's California Mongos, if you guys are wondering. That's where I live. Very happy. Joe lives here, I think. Yep. We're happy.
But look at the cake. It looks tropical, like a shore. An island, you could say. And notice the red drinks.
Okay.
That's not an accident.
Drinks the blood. You might drink the bugs. The bloods. The bloods.
This is a funeral sacrifice disguised as a celebration. In the island, the selection is the lottery. In Clonus, it's all by design. They are chosen when the time comes. And then George is taken into the building, the entranceway to America. The doctor sits him down, gives him a drink, and says, I want you to play a game, treating him like a child. Start counting backwards from 100. And so he starts counting down, 100, 99, 98, and then he falls. They drugged him, and now his body's being used for parts. That's America. That's what was waiting. So it looks like they drain his blood, replace it with preservation fluid, and the language is clinical. Standard procedure, transference, start the pump. George is being processed like meat at a slaughterhouse. And then, his body is sealed in a transparent plastic bag and then placed in a cryogenic storage alongside rows of other frozen clones. So this is America. Right after they bag him, the lead director of this operation, called Jameson, that's pretty close to 5 cent, right? Notice the same amount of letters. Well, Jameson picks up the red phone. Behind him on the wall, the America Corporation logo. Everything is going normally. Well done, and he's very grateful. The red phone, that's the Cold War hotline concept. A direct, secure line to whoever runs the operation. So the compound is being handled from the top. But who is this man behind the phone?
What are you saying, sir? They've served 1 billion people to people? Is that where we're going with that? Shit show, yeah. Bring that up at your next party you go to, Zern. It's not gonna go well. I get it, man. We talk about it, but those Mongos ain't gonna bring that shit up. Yeah, right? 1 billion served. Okay, yeah, I got you.
And there are a few. But who is this man behind the phone? And there are a few things to note. The whole thing is scored with a church choir, which makes the entire.
Soylent Green is people. It's people. Yeah, he was screaming it, man. Yeah. I got you.
Film feel like a ritual?
Fucking
It doesn't
I
feel
can't
B-movie
believe
to me.
this shit.
It's actually a very surreal film. I'll point it out, but there's some very strange things happening with the camera. That's another clue. So while all the other clones are doing their bike,
I had the socks too. I'll admit it. Damn, I had. What the hell are you gonna do, man? I had it all.
exercises, riding in sync, we get this scene where we're following one of the clones relaxing in nature. Then, out of nowhere, a woman in red falls off her bike from above. And this guy, Richard, played by Tim Donnelly, he goes over and helps her up. Alright, but if you've seen Frankenstein Unveiled, you know what the woman falling is. It's a fallen angel. It's a mix between Lilith and Sophia, the feminine wisdom that initiates the journey. I just bring it up because they did the exact same template in Victor Frankenstein. Lorelei falls from the circus and breaks her clavicle, which starts Igor's initiation. It's always the woman that triggers it. Okay, but in Clonus, her name is Lena. Lena. Backwards, that's Anel. If you add a G, that's Angel. She points at his ear and says, "Your ear is just like mine." They have these little ear clips. They're tracking devices, but they're color-coded. And Richard notices that she's the only other one with a matching ear clip. Immediately, this gets flagged. The security calls it in. Two controls accidentally met on Rural Sector 6. Sector 6? I told you, nothing's by accident. Oh, and by the way, Richard, Lincoln, they both have 7 letters. Remember what Jones said about the counting? Richard is our rebel. The scientists say, separate them as quickly as possible. Identify for future deprogramming. Because Richard and Lena are basically Lincoln and Jordan. But here, they aren't normal clones. They're controls. The ones without cognitive suppression. I'll explain that in a moment. So in this plot, we actually get an explanation for these random events and why some clones can just wander off. They allow it. Dr. Jameson comes in and
They allow those flat earthers to get around and, hang out. But, they're keeping an eye on us. I think that's what he's saying, right? Yep. Kenny's got 7 letters. That's right. I mean, that's got to be something.
overrides the separation order. Cancel that. We will monitor.
Zern's got 4. What are you going to do, man? Yeah. 7 and 4 is 11. You guys know the numbers. I mean, everybody knows the numbers.
Jameson comes in and overrides the separation order. Cancel that. We will monitor their interaction. This could prove to be interesting.
Could be
The
interesting.
scientists want to see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
So see, I called this plot hole out in the island. Was Merrick allowing Lincoln to wake up? The plot hole exists because they're working in a template, and the template is more important. But yes, right after he meets this woman in red who fell, now all of a sudden, he's asking these questions. He's waking up. He's eating lunch and he says, "Today a guy was driving towards me, and he drove all the way around me just so I could not see what he was carrying." And his friends shrug it off. Who knows? Eat. They can't even form the question why. But Richard can.
Why, bro? Why?
Okay, so here's the distinction. Is this just for organ harvesting? Or is this a data collection experiment? Because it seems like they're studying these people. So Richard is out in nature again thinking, and he finds a beer can floating in the river.
I just hope it's unopened. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful.
Basically, this is the bug from the island. A piece of trash from the outside world that got through the water system. This is the start of his initiation, and he
Damn
brings
it.
it to class. Dr. Jameson, I found something today that I think might be from America. Jameson confiscates it immediately and gives it to one of the guides. Find
What beer is it? Damn it, I can't read the label.
out how this got through the water valves and who was in charge of cleanup. Okay, but this is insane. The clones have a confessional booth, like a Catholic confessional.
It's a fucking phone booth. The confession booth is yeah, oh my goodness. Ay, ay, ay. Help us, Zern.
They go in and confess their doubts, and they ask questions. But this is an early depiction of an AI chat with a voice from 1979, and it's all being logged for the experiment.
79.
Not only that, it's filtered. So Richard goes and asks about this beer can, which says Milwaukee. That's the brewery name.
Milwaukee
But
Brewery.
the AI voice on the other side invents an answer. There's a rare kind of mineral called Milwaukee. It can only be found in certain parts of the river.
What the fuck?
So it's lying and making up a narrative. It's an AI confessional
Yeah. Here's a quarter. Tell your problems to the operator. Good luck with that. Yeah, have a nice day.
being used as a surveillance tool. But they actually call it confession, which implies they have some sort of religious cult-like structure. Jameson even looks like a cult leader when he's talking about the lessons. The clones do confession in an AI booth, and then they have blind faith in America as their heaven. That's the point of the scene. Richard is challenging everything they know. Later that night, Richard drops a note into Lena's bike basket while she's riding, asking her to meet him. So they sneak out after dark, and they're sitting in front of a
Campfire. I love a good campfire. You guys like campfires? They're so great. They're so great.
fire. A fire? Prometheus, forbidden knowledge. And Lena
She had like perfectly curled hair. It was amazing. I mean, she must have spent hours curling her hair. What?
a fire.
Fucking Hollywood. This is the shit I love to point out about Hollywood. It's like, come on, you unrealistic cocks. Make it more realistic. Tie it back. No. Fuck it. This does.
Prometheus, forbidden knowledge. And Lena tells him she's a writer. She writes her thoughts and ideas, and she tells him about her previous lover. His name was Adam, and he disappeared. So there you go. More Lilith mixed with Sophia wisdom symbolism. And then the fire leads to sex. Fire, enlightenment, then sex. And there's even a camera metaphor here. The sex scene ends with the focus shifting from the foreground to the fire. They pull you away from the physical act to put your eyes on the flame. Passion. Prometheus. Okay, but then the obvious thought is, so how are these two clones just sneaking out and having sex? Nobody stopped them? Nobody noticed? We then cut to the lab. Jameson and a senator are sitting in front of monitors, watching. They just saw the whole thing. This is literally the cabin in the woods. Elites in a control room, watching subjects that think they're living freely.
Fuckers.
The lab just watched them have sex, recorded it, they let it happen. And then, Jameson turns to the senator and says, I assure you, Senator, their meeting was planned by us. So he's spinning this. Richard finding Lena wasn't planned. So he's lying to the client, because what matters is that the senator believes they have total control. Nothing happens by accident. Take note of this for later. And another thing.
Take note.
This is crazy. He explains this virus. A virus is dropped into the original clone cell at the time of its inception,
Uh-oh.
which
Go.
causes its mental abilities to be impaired. So that's how they keep the clones dumb? A virus in the cell from day one. But
Say what? Say what? Okay, keep him dumb. We got to keep him dumb, Zern. Tell him there's a virus. That's the way to do it. Keep those Mongos dumb. Put on your masks. Yeah.
which causes its mental abilities to be impaired. So that's how they keep the clones dumb? A virus in the cell from day one. But listen, the controls, Richard and Lena, they don't have the virus. That's why they can think. Everyone else has it. The controls are allowed to develop normally as a part of the experiment. But what's insane is the senator says, so you're creating Frankensteins here. Jameson's,
With a fucking shit-eating grin on his face. So you're getting the Frankensteins. Yeah.
the senator says, so you're creating Frankensteins here. Jameson
Yeah.
says, oh no, not at all. It's all very step by step, standardized, practical.
Zurich makes common sense. We're doing it the common sense way. Practical.
It's all very step by step, standardized, practical. I mean, come on, guys. Think about what I was thinking when he said that. Here I am watching this old movie on clones being used for parts. I'm seeing the exact same symbolism that I saw in the Frankenstein breakdown, like I mentioned with Lorelei, and boom, there's literally a shout out to Frankenstein here. I mean, at this point, you gotta check out Frankenstein Unveiled. It relates to all of this. And then the senator says, can we hear what they're saying? Think about that. A sitting senator is watching two clones have sex on a surveillance monitor and asking to turn the audio off. And Jameson's assistant tries to get the audio working, but it glitches. The system bugs out. The assistant tries to make it seem like it's nothing. They want to give this politician the impression of total control. But the truth is, they don't have everything under control. The system has bugs. They can't control anomalies. So Jameson's assistant distracts him. Senator, I think you'd like to see where we preserve them. So why are politicians involved? At what level is this funded? And then Lena tells Richard something else. When she was young, she saw a body, frozen.
Hey, sir, what? I mean, I know that PG standing for parental guidance. 13. It also could be partially gay, is what I was thinking. And I don't know. Just saying. PG-13. I don't know. Whatever. Those Mongos out there, man. Who knows what they're gonna
Involved. At what level is
These
this funded?
cocks.
And then Lena tells Richard something else. When she was young, she saw a body, frozen. She went to the confessional and asked about it, but the voice lied and said that he was sleeping. And she never really forgot about it. Deep down, she knows that's a lie. So Lena is the enlightenment figure, or the figure that leads to his path of enlightenment. And think about what she said. When she was young. So these clones are grown from childhood. They're not manufactured as adults like in the island.
Oh, well, you don't know that because they implanted memories in the clones from the island. So it could have been just a memory. Right? Am I wrong on that? I mean, that's what I was vibing on. That's what I was getting.
From childhood. They're not manufactured as adults like in the island. Think about it. They grow up here, whole lives, from kids to adults, educated, socialized, all of it, just to be harvested at the end. That makes it so much worse. The next scene, Richard
The next scene, Adidas jacket. I had one.
deliberately loses a race because he doesn't really feel like trying anymore. The guards notice this and tell him, I'm gonna have to report this. And Richard's like, to who? And then they say, I will have to report that too. So he's becoming too smart, and the system has noticed. Dr. Jameson tells Richard that he's been accelerated. He's going to America early. They're killing him ahead of schedule because he's asking too many questions. Richard meets up with Lena and tells her, we're being watched. I tried a test last night. I pretended I was sick when no one was around, and medics arrived within minutes. We're being watched. So he basically outsmarted the system.
Oh, Mongo fucking Zern. I love you, brother. Yes, I had a members only jacket. Yes. I mean, I don't know which one was cooler. At times, the members only, if you're going to the club. And then, if you're hanging out, the Adidas jacket could be cooler. I mean, it was a toss-up, man. It depended what day of the week. Yeah.
And then he says, I didn't get any answers from the confessional. I think the only place I'm going to find my answers is in America. And I'm going to try to get there tonight. Then Lena says, but Richard, you're not qualified. But Richard, the hero, I have to go. I've got to find out for you and me and for everyone else. Next, Richard breaks into this restricted area at night.
Uh-oh.
This is basically the scene where Lincoln climbs the ladder and enters the real world. Well, Richard sneaks into a forbidden area, and he finds files, records, a map of the United States with Milwaukee on it. He finds clone profiles with ID numbers, and every single person's logged and monitored. This is the old-fashioned way. Notebooks and filing cabinets. It's the same as the futuristic database from the island, but just old 1970s record keeping. Which means this system could have existed with old world technology going back decades. And then we find out. Richard Knight, cloned, 1948, December. Normal cloning procedure without complications. Clone selected for control group. And a birthday, 1922, for the original Professor Richard Knight. Knight. The same last name as the senator running for president at the beginning of the film. And remember what I showed you in the island? The president has a clone. It's the same template.
Take that,
Knight
Mongos.
for president.
Take that.
Richard Knight, cloned in 1948. But the crazy part is, he finds an orientation tape, a video cassette. Listen. The tape starts with basic biology. Each cell in the body has 2 sets of chromosomes. It is these chromosomes, one set from each parent, that determine who and how we are. They are our genetic roadmaps. And then it shows sperm and egg cells on the screen, the process of reproduction. And then it says this. In 1931, we successfully removed the nucleus of a female egg cell. And it shows a recording of this procedure on screen. And then they explain it. They took the empty egg cell and replaced the nucleus with an artificial one that has the original set of chromosomes from each parent. So all they need is your DNA. Are you listening? They literally just need your DNA. It's telling you. Once they have the original set of chromosomes, they take any female egg cell, swap in the new nucleus, and stimulate it to divide. They're stimulating the original union of sperm and egg, but bypassing the entire natural process.
Oh,
That's
man.
cloning. And the tape says they had this technology since 1931. So where did this lore come from? Then the tape says, armed with this technology and unlimited funding, we established Clonus. And it shows the campus, the facility, and it calls it a breeder facility for clones. Each clone is a unique duplicate of a counterpart, either domestic or international. They're using the word counterpart on purpose to obscure what they're actually talking about. These are copies of real people, clients. And then the tape gets to the problem. One of the most serious problems was the suppression of individuality. So the clones were thinking. They were developing personalities.
Uh-oh.
The solution?
That's a
Simple
problem.
lobotomy to make
Breakers.
the clone benign and
Breeders?
cooperative. Then, in the film, this guy just stares and smiles. The tape cuts off right as it says, further research has led to techniques. But wait, what techniques? Basically, it's implied that there were new techniques to make the clones cooperative, but Richard has to stop it because he hears someone coming. He takes the tape and runs away. Also note the similar hall scene. So just to pause for a second, this orientation tape is interesting. The date they give is 1931. The real date for Hans Speymann's nuclear transfer experiments is 1928, 3 years off. In 1979, 17 years before Dolly the Sheep, this film is accurately describing the nuclear transfer cloning process. Sperm, egg, nucleus removal, chromosome replacement, stimulated division. That's not science fiction. That's someone who knew the actual science. And unlimited funding in a 1979 B movie? And keep in mind, the suppression of individuality through lobotomy, that's not an accident. It's multi-layered and you will see it again. It's MK Ultra, but it's also the erasure of consciousness, the CIA's documented method for creating controllable subjects. And then Richard finds the storage room, clones in storage, and his friend George, the one who had a going away party. He knows the truth. The America they were told is a lie. They're all going to die. Richard takes the tape, the evidence, and escapes through the elevator. And then out the ceiling hatch through chute number 7. You see the similarities? Mr. Walker, a clone has escaped. And then Richard makes his way to the real world. It's the same thing. He goes through a desert-like landscape and then ends up in the harsh reality of the real world. Also, while he's downtown, there's a shot where he passes an XXX theater. A retired journalist finds Richard after he fell from running from the guards who are chasing and trying to capture him. The guards know where they are because those ear clips the clones wear are GPS trackers. So in 1979, they're showing you location tracking on human subjects. And the journalist's wife, this is a pretty huge detail that's thrown out kinda casually. You would definitely miss it if you weren't paying attention. She casually mentions she was reading in the digest about frogs and cloning, but they never really explain it. She's actually referencing a real article. In the 1960s, John Gurdon cloned tadpoles using nuclear transfer, the exact same process the orientation tape described. He took the nucleus out of a tadpole cell, put it in a frog egg, and grew a clone. That was in Scientific American, Reader's Digest, everywhere. So the public already had pieces of this in the magazine, and the film is telling you that. Which means the science in the orientation tape isn't fiction. The only fictional part is the scale. The journalist, Noble, brings the clone to Knight Sr.'s home. But Noble doesn't really fully understand what's happening. He thinks Richard's just looking for his father. Richard finds his genetic original, Richard Knight Sr. In the island, this meeting is played for comedy. Tom Lincoln is a sleazy guy. In Clonus, it's kind of horror. Knight Sr. looks at his own face on someone else's body and appears to be frightened. Someone did this to him without his knowledge. But interestingly, it seems he doesn't know about the cloning, or who or how they did it. But he knows something. What's that something? He has a brother. So basically, the clone has the tape, and it doesn't show it in the movie, but it's implied that they all watched the orientation video, and when Knight Sr. sees it, he says, "This is something the public isn't supposed to know about." Okay, but this is a crazy scene. We finally get to see who's the mystery man behind the phone. This is Walker? What the heck? He's the one who owns Walker Research Facility? Pretty crazy. But look at the ring. Notice how it has a triangle on it. So remember all that sexually...
Oh my God, it's a triangle. We should run. We gotta run. What's up, Sam? Good to see you. Yep, we should run. I gotta run. Gonna be part 3. I gotta go part 3 on this shit, man. Yeah. Shit happens. What are you gonna do, man? Yep. What are you gonna do, man? I'm gonna tie up my loose ends. All right, let's get some loose ends.
1, 2, 3, 4. You tell other stories as your own.
Oh man. Damn, my internet's sucking.
You say other stories as your own. You say you miss us, but you never come home. Yeah, you're something else, or maybe just someone. When the wind blows, do you feel yourself coming undone? Can't tie together all the loose ends. Can't be everybody's best friend. Sooner or later you'll have to follow your own trend. Loose ends, loose ends. Pages and pages of things you wrote, but you never show me, you never get that close. Searching, searching for a story that fits. Who can love you if you do not exist? Can't tie together all the loose ends. Can't be everybody's best friend. Sooner or later you'll have to follow your own trend. Loose ends, loose ends. You were a buckle with the weight of all your lies, losing pieces of who you are, and you can't turn back time. You never find happiness living the life of someone else. 'Cause you got nothing if you don't have yourself. Can't tie together all the loose ends. Can't be everybody's best friend. Sooner or later you gotta stop playing pretend. Loose ends, loose ends. Yeah, loose ends, loose ends. Yeah, loose ends, loose ends. Oh.
Thank you. Thank you.
My wife said,
Oh shit.
"You win."
Damn, fucking cocks. There's a bunch of cocks out there, man.
We'll fly to
Bunch
Asia.
of
If I win, we'll
cocks,
fly to.
Mongo, cocks, fucking. Just slip. Blah, 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 blah.
Well, along about 1825, I left Tennessee barely half alive. And I never would have got through the Arkansas mud if I hadn't been riding on the Tennessee stud. I had some trouble with my sweetheart's paw. One of her brothers was a bad outlaw. Sent her a letter by my Uncle Fudd, and then I rode away on the Tennessee stud. Oh, the Tennessee stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and never was a horse like the Tennessee stud. Well, we drifted on down into no man's land, crossed that river called the Rio Grande. I raced my horse with the Spaniards full till I got me a skin full of silver and gold. Me and the gambler couldn't agree, got in a fight over Tennessee. We jerked our guns and he fell with a thud, and I rode away on the Tennessee stud. Oh, the Tennessee stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and there never was a horse like the Tennessee stud. I got just as lonesome as a man could be, dreaming of my girl in Tennessee. And Tennessee stud's green eyes turned blue, 'cause he was dreaming of a sweetheart too. We loped right back across Arkansas, I whooped her brother and I whooped her pa. Went and found that girl with the golden hair, she was riding on the Tennessee mare. Oh, the Tennessee stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and never was a horse like the Tennessee stud. Stirrup to stirrup and side by side, we crossed the mountains and valleys wide. We came to Big Muddy, then we forded the flood on the Tennessee mare and the Tennessee stud. There's a pretty little baby on the cabin floor, a little hoss colt laying round the door. I love that girl with the golden hair, and the Tennessee stud loves the Tennessee mare. Oh, the Tennessee stud was long and lean, the color of the sun, and his eyes were green. He had the nerve and he had the blood, and there never was a horse like the Tennessee stud.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
When a shopping cart smashed my
Hey
headlight,
man,
we
when a
worried filing a claim
shopping
would take
cart,
forever.
hit my car, man, it was a problem. Yeah, it was a big deal.
I ain't slept for 7 days, I haven't eaten 3. Methamphetamine has got a damn good hold of me. My tweaker friends have got me to the point of no return. I just took the lighter to the bulb and watch it burn. This life is sin, it's got me. Well, it's got me back in prison once again. I use my only phone call to contact my daddy. I got 20 long years for some dust in a bag. Listen to what Mom and Papa said, I wouldn't be locked up in prison, troubled in my head. But I took that little poppin' something until my mind was spun. I got 20 years to sit and think of what I've done. This life is sin, it's got me. Well, it's got me back in prison once again. I used my only phone call to contact my daddy. Got 20 long years for some dust in a baggie. got me singing this old song. My life is a disaster. I feel so ashamed. In here where they call me by a number, not a name. This life of sin, it's got me in. Well, it's got me back in prison once again. I use my only phone call to contact my daddy. Got 20 long years for some dust and a baggie. I use my only phone call to contact my daddy. I got 20 long years for some dust and a baggie.
All right, take that, Mongos. Take that. Fuck, I can't do any better than that. That's pretty much as good as I can get at this point. Well, thanks for hanging out. Check it, man. That was killer. I love live music like that, man. I mean, that's as good as it gets, in my opinion. You know, to each his own. Whatever, man. Carry on, Mongos. Carry on. Cheers.